Hello, this is Joe from Dragon Korea. We are continuing our budget Kindred, this time looking at the top 10 non-creature dragon spells. Still on dragons, but not talking about dragons this time. The non-dragon dragons, but anyway, alright. Here we go. Please hit like and subscribe, it helps so much. Also, if you don't hit like, the birds are all gonna go crazy and start attacking people, but they'll stop sometimes, so you can just like leave the house. But anyway. So what is budget? $2 or less? At least when I say budget, I mean $2 or less. And yeah, we're looking at the non-creature spells that work with dragons. So these are the types of extra cards you're gonna want to put into your dragon deck. I am not doing the Orbs of Dragonkind. And what is the other one? I'm not doing another artifact cycle for dragons, basically. I want to cover that in the cycle, so this is going to be outside of those. Anyway. Yeah, we'll be using the TCG player market price, not a sponsor. No. Feedback. Yeah. Which budget Kindred theme would you like to see? I've been asking this for a couple days at least now. I don't think anyone's actually said anything, but if you got something, I'd love to hear it, because, you know, we've done a whole bunch already, but I think, yeah, there's probably something I missed. Number 10. Okay, Acolyte of Bahamut, right? I'm saying it like Final Fantasy Bahamut rather than Forgotten Realms Bahamut, but okay. 1 in a green. For this, again, is a background. That means you can add it to another to a commander that allows you to have a background, and it basically works like a partner. Anyway, commander creatures you own have the first dragon spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So if your commander and this are out, your first dragon spell every turn is 2 less to cast. Even in 2 turns, this more than makes up for its cost, right? So it'll come in handy very quickly. And the main problem with dragons is, or maybe not problem, hindrance, let's say hindrance, is the casting cost, and this will help sort that out. So anyway, 7 cents. Number 9. Okay, Draconic Roar. 1 in a red for this instant. So as an additional cost to cast Draconic Roar, you may reveal a dragon from your hand. This is not worth having unless you have the dragons. Like if you got a Dragon Kindred where you've got a whole bunch of dragons, you're going to have that dragon in your hand, do it, otherwise do not. Draconic Roar deals 3 damage to target creature. Okay, either way, it does 3 damage to the creature, okay? This is a little confusing to read, but yeah. This happens first, either way, and then the second effect. If you reveal the dragon, there's the second effect. Or control a dragon as you cast Draconic Roar. Draconic Roar deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. So basically it's like lightning bolt on a creature and then on its controller. Especially with damage amplification, that can be pretty scary. And 1 in a red for that. So it ends up being like 2 lightning bolts on 1 card. It's somewhat more limited in what you can target, but it will hit a creature and a player. So that's not too shabby. 29 cents. Number 8. The Kami War. Kami War? I don't know. 1 and Wooburg. So that's white, blue, black, red, green. 1 of everything. And this is a saga, right? So it does different effects at the beginning of every turn. Yeah. After your draw step, you add a lore counter. So this will keep things happening as it has lore counters. Oh my. Exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls. So first of all, you're just going to exile any non-land permanent. That is flexible. Remember, whatever your big problem is, just take it off the board. That's not worth 6 CMC, especially the most difficult 6 CMC to cast, arguably. But anyway. Return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and then each opponent discards a card. So you're going to bounce something back to, yeah. its owner's hand, right? It is its owner's hand, so you could bounce your own thing if you want to, and then all of your opponents have to discard a card. Can be pretty mean. Again, if your opponent has no cards in hand and this activates, then you bounce something back to their hand and they have to put it straight into their graveyard, which is just a long-winded form of removal. But anyway. Number 3. Exile this saga, then return to the battlefield transformed under your control. So what does it transform into? A spirit dragon. 6/6 flying trample, and is considered all colors, meaning if there's like any kinds of anthem effects where you get +1/+1 for having a color, it can pick up all of them. So yeah, this could be huge. Flying and trample, once again, just a great combination. Evasion and damage, guaranteeing damage is really nice. Also, those flyers are mostly lower toughness. Anyway, except for the dragons. Yeah, except for this whole list. Anyway, whenever it attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard, return that card to your hand. And then, yeah, so this is going to basically just keep recurring things back to your hand. And yeah, it gets +X damage based on the casting cost of that card. I think that's actually very good. A lot of things that end up in your graveyard is because you use them or they got knocked off the battlefield or something like that. Most things that end up in your graveyard, unless you're just milling and doing stuff like that, are going to be things that you used and could probably use again. So that is actually quite useful. Anyway, 150. Number 7. Draconic Intervention. 2 red. This, I actually probably should have put it into the Spellslinger one, but it's not a dragon, so maybe not. As an additional cost of the spell, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Very important that you're going to have an instant or sorcery in your graveyard, first of all. Secondly, that it's high CMC. The higher, the better. So yeah, it deals X damage to each non-dragon creature, where X is the exiled card's mana value. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. So it's going to probably end up exiling a good amount of stuff. Again, you need to kind of have it in like a Spellslinger type of deck, or something where you've got higher mana cost instants and sorceries that you're probably going to have in your graveyard. So yeah, if you're talking about like a cantrip deck or something, absolutely not. Even a regular deck, I probably would not put this in. This is very getting niche to the point where I think this maybe should have been the niche video or a Spellslinger video, but that's a whole different conversation. 28 cents. Number 6. Dragon Cultist. 4 and a red for this. Once again, background. So if you've got a commander that lets you choose a background, you can choose this. Nice little bonus there. I like this as an alternate to partner, but anyway. Commander creatures you own have, at the beginning of your end step, if a source you control dealt 5 or more damage this turn, create a 4/4 dragon creature token with flying. So the nice thing about dragons is flying, that evasion helps you get the damage in, and high damage. So yeah, with the dragon deck, getting that 5 damage from a source in and creating a 4/4 dragon that's probably going to have like synergy and be like all kinds of scary is very, very likely. So yeah, this is going to end up being, it's not cheap at 4 and a red, but if it creates even 2 4/4 dragons, it's already worth it, I think. So yeah, especially if you got those Kindred bonuses that you really should have. Anyway, 6 cents only. Number 5. Breath Weapon. 2 and a red, so it deals 2 damage to each non-dragon creature. Again, this is kind of like the more broad version of Draconic Intervention. It's a little bit cheaper too, which is nice, or lower CMC, I should say, which is nice. But it deals 2 damage to each non-dragon creature. 2 is actually going to knock a good amount of stuff off, but not everything, right? You're going to want to use some kind of damage enhancer probably with this as well. And yeah, that would get pretty scary. Anyway, 81 cents. Not bad. Number 4, Sarkhan's Triumph. This almost could go at number 1 as easily as number 4, but I put it here. 2 and a red. For this instant, search your library for a Dragon Creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. Just a Dragon Tutor. If you got a Dragon deck, get this card. Dragon Tutor. Maybe the only thing I'd say is maybe Tiamat doesn't need it, because Tiamat does all the tutoring herself. Anyway, 171. Number 3, Crucible of Fire. Okay, this is an enchantment for 3 and a red. Dragon creatures you control get +3/+3. Again, if you've got dragons, if you've got something where you're making those dragon tokens like Dragon Cultist, that 4/4 becomes a 7/7 flyer. That's real scary. The kind of synergy you can get with dragons is absolutely terrifying. And you've got like a Tarka World Render that's just going to give everything that attacks double strike. Or all your dragons that attack double strike, I should say. And this is +3/+3. That's +6 damage. Like, per dragon. Very easy to like get this just into like scary territory. Anyway, 90 cents. Number 2. Okay, Dragon's Horde. I've actually covered this one before, I think on Mana Rocks, but anyway. So for 3, whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, put a gold counter on Dragon's Horde. This does not specify whether it has to be like a token or non-token or anything like that. Once again, very easy to like get extra value right there. And you can remove a gold counter from it to draw a card, or just tap it. Tap it and remove a gold counter, draw a card, or add 1 mana of any color. This is like, a lot of people get really down on the 3 mana rocks. You know, it's not that bad. It costs 1 more, it's a little slower, it's not Arcane Signet, but you know what? Later game, if you're drawing a bunch of cards with a mana rock, when you've got your mana covered and what you really need is cards, that is way more valuable. Again, the value of cards starts very low, value of mana starts very high, and throughout the game, they kind of switch, right? So yeah, this is really something where it's earlier in the game, it does what you need, and later in the game, it does what you need. So anyway, I love this one. 162. Number 1. And you know it has something to do with Ugin, but what? Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Again, I believe that's Nicol Bolas's brother is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon here. Yeah, so this is a land. First of all, hey, land. You're getting it for free, basically, right? You don't need a casting cost. You just drop it in and you're good to go. Anyway, tap to add a colorless. Remember, a lot of times people see that and they're like, oh, that's terrible. Some things actually require a colorless, first of all. Secondly, do you need colored mana for everything all the time? No, you don't. A lot of times you're going to like pay 1 red and then 4 colorless. Then, hey, this is perfect, right? Anyway, and tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a Dragon Creature spell. Getting any mana you want for those dragons is a big deal. Dragons will often have like more than 1 pip as well, like more than 1 color symbol in their casting cost. So having this is just going to like fix all kinds of problems. And for 2 and tap, you can sacrifice it, return target dragon card or Ugin planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. So this can just, later game, you can use this just like throw a dragon back into your hand. That might be like able to secure you the win right there. Or Ugin card if you got Ugins in your deck. So that can be very nice. Anyway, 156. Super flexible as far as like creating mana for dragons, and for any dragon deck, this is just a must-have. The top 10. Okay, so we got Acolyte of Bahamut, or Bahamut, I keep saying Bahamut, 7 cents. Draconic Roar, 29 cents. The Chemi War, 150. Draconic Intervention, 28 cents. The most niche one on this list by far. Dragon Cultist is only 6 cents. Breath Weapon, 81 cents. Sarkhan's Triumph, 171. Crucible of Fire is 58 cents. Dragon's Horde is 162. Haven of the Spirit Dragon is 156. Alright, take it easy.